Welcome back to my workshop. Now in this video I'm going to be making a lady's handbag, but like so many of the projects that I do, the customers see what I've done before and they want exactly the same as before, but could I just make one or two minor refinements. In this particular instance they want to have longer handles and they also want to have a compartment inside the bag. Nothing too difficult there, because that's what I do. I make bespoke items for customers. So let's see how I get on. So I'm starting with this nice skin of vegetable tan leather. This is what they call a shoulder of leather. It's slightly thinner than what I normally use. This is about 2.5 to 3 millimeters thick. This means the bag will be lighter in weight and also much more supple than some of the ones I've done before. So I shall quickly cut out all the bits and pieces that I need. Having cut all our pieces out, the next job is to finish all the sides and to mark it out for stitches. So first of all, we run a crease down the side using the creasing tool, and that just puts a nice edge on it. And we'll do this on all 4 sides. We then want to put a little bit of stain on the edges. And we'll quickly polish that. Now, one of the first pieces of leather that we're going to shape are these little straps here. And these are going to be the straps that hold these D-rings on, which is going to attach to the side of the bag. And what I want to do is to make a sort of a rounded point at this end of it. So the way that we do this is, first of all, we set our dividers so that they are the same width. And then we measure across like that, and then we scribe an arc. Make sure you do this on the back, and we do the same from this side. Now I don't know if you can see that. Now as you can see, that's my arc scribed, and I'm going to use this saddler's knife and very carefully and very slowly just cut little tiny pieces and just follow the line of that arc. I'll do the same this way around. So as you can see, that's come out fairly well. I can just ever so gently sand off those edges there with a bit of fine sandpaper, and then the D-ring will go on there like that. That becomes the strap which then sews onto the side of the bag that the handles will attach to. I'll just do all 4 and then I'm ready to start sewing them onto the bag. A number of the processes I go through in order to make a project like this are pretty much the same from bag to bag. So I'm not going to try and bore you. If you want to know the finer details of how to do this, go and have a look at some of my earlier videos and you see I'll take you through step by step. It suffices to say in this video we'll scoot through the stuff that I've covered before. So I'll show you here that I've now sewn these little straps onto the front of what will become the front of the bag. I'm also going to sew a little buckle into here because that's how the whole bag is going to hold together. On the back of the bag they've also got some straps. I've stitch marked it all the way around, but I've also put a line of stitches across here. Now this will help to shape the bag ever so slightly, but one of the differences of this bag from the other ones that I've made is this one's going to have a lining with a pocket. This line of stitches here is where the lining is going to attach to the back of the bag. So now I'm moving to the side, so I'm going to quickly start to stitch the sides together. Again, all this is covered in some of my other videos, so I'm not going to make you sit there and watch it. I'll see you in a moment when it's all done. So we now have everything sewn onto the front of the bag that needs to go on. The back of the bag is ready. So this is where I start to divert from my usual practice. Now for this bag I'm making a pair of shoulder straps, so they're much longer than the ones that I would normally use. They're also much thinner. And what I want to do is to actually fold them in half, and so they're going to be half this width and then sew along one side. And to make it easier for me to do the fold, I'm going to run a little tiny groove all the way up the middle here. And as you can see, that makes the fold much easier and also considerably neater. So while you're not looking, I shall quickly do the other one and then sew all the way along here, and that will be the handles made. When I'm stitching something like this, I use what's referred to as saddlery stitch. And this is where I use 2 needles on the end of the one piece of thread, and you sew in both directions. And then we come in from the back, and also we go in from the front. And so the 2 threads cross inside the hole. So this is going to be a very slow process. Hand stitching always is. So this is a perfect time to sit back, turn the radio on, and I'll catch up with you later. So now we've reached a point where we start to divert from bags that I've made before. So you can see what I've done is I've made the back of the bag. I've also sewn in the sides. So you can start to see what our bag's going to look like. Now this customer has asked that the bag is lined and she wants a pocket with a zip inside. So what I'm now going to do is to now make another little bag, this time out of fabric, and this is the fabric that the customer sent me. It's going to be quite pretty, I think. So I shall make myself a little bag which will fit on the inside of there, complete with the pocket, and then I'll sew that inside this bag, and then I'll sew the front on. It all makes sense. Let's see how we get on. So whilst you've been away, what I've done is I've made myself what is effectively a little bag which now fits inside this bag. You can see here we have a zip for the zip pocket, and I'm starting to sew it in. Well, I've sewed it in already all the way up to there, and then I'll start to go around the edges here. So I'll just quickly finish sewing that bit in, and then I'll be ready to sew the front in. Whilst you've been away, as you can see, I've sewn part of this in. I've gone all the way along there and around there, which has given us that nice seam there, which helps to shape the bag quite nicely. Now, I'm now going to sew this front piece on, and that will go like that. And then once I've got that in place, then I shall go along and sew along here and through there. And then that's the body of the bag finished. Hopefully you enjoy these videos. If you do have a look at some of the other ones on my channel. You never know, you might like those as well. It's also very helpful to me if you press the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a penny, but it makes quite a difference to my life. Remember, you can always sign up for the blog, which is tomgreencraft.com. Find out what I'm up to. There's always one strange project or another going on. Well, there you go. That's the last stitch done on the body of the bag. Now, I've still got to finish sewing the lining to the inside of this bag. So that's going to take a little bit of while, and I'm sure I'll curse several times whilst I'm doing it. Well, I'm delighted to say that went in much easier than I anticipated. So as you can see, we now have the body of the bag, and we have a rather nice lining, and if I can find it, we also have a zip pocket which you can put your credit cards or your phone or whatever it is you want in. So we're starting to get towards a finished bag. Now, the next job is we need to make a strap to go on here, which lines up with that, and then attach the handles. So that shouldn't take too long. So here we are, the finished article. So we've got a nice bag with a pair of shoulder straps, nice and thin straps, with a buckle. It's got a nice lining inside, and it's got a zip pocket. Everything a lady would want. Now hopefully you've enjoyed that video. If you have, do have a look at some of the other ones on my channel. You never know, you might enjoy some of those as well. It helps me if you press the subscribe button, and do feel free to sign up for my blog, which is tomgreencraft.com, and you can find out some of the other things I'm up to. I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.